simpler than you think. If we didn't have Diamond Trust Bank making this offer, who knows? But they are. And they're making an offer and they're saying, look, we at Diamond Trust have a solution that you may like. We are saying that if you're thinking of a mortgage, don't just let it be a thought.
Yeah.
Let us help you make it a reality. Come to us. This is what we're telling you. We will offer you a mortgage just based on your financials, what you can afford, what you have. We'll advise you on what to do, how to go about it. And then we'll give you details. And some of those details are, we'll tell you, look, it doesn't matter whether you're employed, whether you are in business, whether you are in the diaspora. If you happen to live in this country, employed, business, we offer you up to 105%. 105. Diaspora, 80%. We don't stop there. We don't have any of these hidden charges. We don't have any penalties if you pay early. That's not us. But we have partnered with Kenya Mortgage Refinance Company, and this is what it does for us. It enables us to give you a mortgage at a steady interest of 9%. It doesn't move. Whether changes, same. Whether not changes, same. 9% for 10 years, 9.75 for 25 years. Now, if you feel you would like to know more, really excellent, go to a Diamond Trust branch nearest to you or simply email mortgages@dtbafrica.com. That's it. Really quite simple.
Fantastic.
Yes.
And now when you're talking about your businesses, and so you run a business here in Kenya and you're traveling to Tanzania, or rather you're doing business with Mark, who is in Tanzania, and, you know, he sells sunflower oil and we need it here for our catering business. And oftentimes we ask ourselves, okay, so the supply is happening, but I need to pay Mark. I need to pay Mark suppliers to send this oil to me. Sometimes I need, and he needs to see that payment before he sends it, right? You need to be sure that the payment has reached you so that you can now send the stuff to me here in Nairobi. Yes. And oftentimes, okay, well, I don't have downtime of 3 days. I cannot. What are we going to do? It's taking too long. And I'm here saying, okay, well, you know, the traditional way of me sending this money is difficult. It costs too much. There are other charges that I can't deal with. You're not going to receive the money till maybe Wednesday next week, and I need that supply for a lot of my weekend orders. What are we going to do? Well, the folks at Verto FX are saying we are the ones that you need to talk to. Verto has completely changed the game for businesses dealing with cross-border payments. Imagine sending money around the world in minutes, not days, right? Imagine that you have better exchange rates, that you don't have to worry, okay, so we're going from Kenya shilling, Tanzania shilling, or Kenya shilling to dollar. Around 190 plus countries around the world, 49 different currencies. It does it for you without you even having to think about how it's done. It's trusted for businesses worldwide, from SMEs to large enterprises, giving you fast, 1, secure, 2, and cost-effective 3 payments without the banking red tape. So whether you're an SME, or an importer, or an exporter, or a financial professional, Verto makes it easy to manage your international payments fast, secure, and with full transparency. What you need to do is log on to www.vertofx.com and find out how you can start to make those easy payments today as your businesses continue to flourish. That's what we're talking about. Get into the business, log on today and find out what's going on. All right. It's Friday, it's 9 a.m., and it's an opportunity for you to talk to your president. I'm going to give you the number right off the bat. So as you start to marinate what those questions are and you start to marinate what those thoughts are, it's 0719-012-600. Let's start off with one thing, shall we? Yesterday, the president was in day 2 of his tour of Northeastern, and he came out speaking in a manner in which many wondered, who is this and what is it that he's saying? Dear Mr. President, the words that you spoke to the country yesterday about those who might criticize the programs or the suggestions that you make about certain things was not very welcoming, dear Mr. President. Kenyans do feel as though the manner in which you spoke to them did sound like you were a bit angry. And one would wonder, where is the anger coming from? You did tell people yesterday, dear Mr. President, that you know a lot more than they do by virtue of the fact that, you know, you're at PhD level with a lot of these agricultural and agricultural initiatives. But people felt, though, that at the time that you were asking for their vote, this was not the tone that you used. And so the question is, what's the problem? Why is it so difficult to speak to Kenyans in a manner in which they would be able to, take it more and it would sound a lot more palatable to them? That the anger and the tone in which you spoke, dear Mr. President, did not work for them. Even as we get into that conversation, which I'm sure we will, because I know that Mark would want to add his voice to that. Dear Mr. President, I must remind you that there's still 15 billion shillings left to send out in capitation. While we must acknowledge that a total of 33 billion shilling has been sent so far, 15 billion shillings is still pending. And we're just 3 weeks shy of midterm for the first term of 2025-2026, the school year. So, dear Mr. President, that is just a reminder. Dear Mr. President, just a week ago, members of parliament were up in arms and they said that the system that is delivering Taifa care needs to be looked at. Members of parliament who make the law, who represent the people, and who also oversight, keep in check the excesses, or rather the behavior of other arms of government. The question is today that what will happen to this system that is supposed to be caring for the sick of Kenya? That why is it that 6 months, 5 months down the line that we've still not been able to get it right? Dear Mr. President, the questions are piling and folks want to understand exactly what is going on. Mark?
Dear Dr. President, yes, it is true. You are one of the most educated presidents in this country. And you're one of the most educated presidents in Africa. Yes, it is true that your doctorate is in science, a field which many of us hold in high esteem. Indeed, Dr. President, it is true that you're one of the most successful politicians Kenya has ever seen. It is true you've never lost an election upon which your name was on the ballot. It is true, Mr. President, Dr. President, that your intelligence is unquestionable. In fact, those of us who have followed your career have been impressed many a time at your ability to campaign, your ability to articulate issues, and your ability to run the political course and deliver political victory to President Uhuru 2013-2017 and deliver to yourself political victory in 2022, despite what many might have considered very high stakes. Indeed, Mr. President, I would like to commend you and tell you that indeed you've lived a very extraordinary life. And it's on that point of extraordinary, Mr. President, Dr. President, allow me, that I would like to speak to you about a little matter. Extra just means a little bit more. Ordinary means average. Mr. President, Dr. President, I'm not asking for big changes. I'm joining the rest of Kenyans in asking for just a little bit above the ordinary. A little bit of a fight against corruption, a little bit of streamlining the shisha, a little bit of an explanation on the vaccination drive, because, Mr. President, we understand I've kept chickens and we have to give them vaccines. Otherwise, they'll die in 2 weeks. So what we would like, Mr. President, is just as your career has been extraordinary, your education extraordinary, your rise to office extraordinary, we will not give you so much stress. We will ask, dear Mr. President, Dr. President, just make everything in government as extraordinary as you are, my good sir.
Dear Mr. President, today we have a little overcast in Nairobi, and I commend you for doing something that no president in the history of this country has ever done. You haven't made a lightning visit to the northern part of the country. You've actually stayed there for 4 days. This has never, ever been done. And part of the narrative of marginalization that the region has voiced over and over has had to do with development, yes, but has to do with the complete absence or lack of attention that presidents before you have given the region, except perhaps at times when they're quoting their votes. It stands to reason that the decisions that are made by you on behalf of the citizens of Kenya are decisions that are thought out and I dare say meant to be for the welfare of the citizens. Mr. President, it would be a wonderful thing if the citizens knew exactly what your plans are in detail and what it is you expect and how it is we would benefit. But Mr. President, you can't be the only one alone who tells us these things. You have ministers, you have PSs, you have directors of departments, you have advisors, you have a whole slew of people who can do beyond the things that you have said. They can ensure that not only do we hear them, but we also get to understand them. All the issues that keep coming up and keep being brought to your desk, when we in the Situation Room point to the things that this government has done, we wonder why it is that all these people who work for the executive do not do the same. Because then what remains is the things that are glaring and the things that we find bothersome, like the abductions, the things that we find glaring and bothersome as capitation that hasn't been sent, the things that are glaring as debts and people losing their jobs, businesses closing down. Yet there's a lot more that could be said about what is being done to alleviate these things. Dear Mr. President, communication is a multi-pronged affair, and the need for people to understand in detail what it is that is going on and how it is that they can benefit lies at your doorstep because you're the chief executive, but you're a chief executive who has many assistants who can ensure that these things get to the lowest common denominator, the simplest mwananchi in the furthest part of this country. Dear Mr. President, I don't believe that this is too much to ask. It is very much within your purview and it's very much within your capacity.
Do you think that even as we speak today about some of these things that are clearly in the open, that would Kenyans be doing a disservice to the executive if they did not speak out about some of the things that they did, that they see? Would it be a disservice?
If they kept quiet.
If they kept quiet?
Huge.
How so?
When you are a leader, that particular position and the term we use has no meaning whatsoever if there are no people being led. If it's an executive of a business, there are employees and people with whom you work, your co-workers. If it is political leadership, then you have constituents, people who elect you, people who vote for you. And in the absence of these people, one, you wouldn't have that position because there'd be no one to elect you, and two, there'd be no one for you to lead. It's a symbiotic relationship that must be honored. And when it isn't honored, then things begin to fall apart. And what we hear and see as complaints by the citizenry, some of it being termed as noise, that is a response and it's communication of how it is that whatever else is happening is resonating with them. The noises, the protests, that is speech in that particular form. You are being told with great clarity what it is that people think and how they feel. And if they didn't tell you that, how then would you know whether what it is that you are supposed to be doing for them and on their behalf is resonating with them? How then would you know whether it's actually working? How then would you actually know beyond what you're told by those who work with you? How else will you know the state of the very nation that you govern over?
City, you're a student of history.
Yes.
Today morning, I was asking myself, have the people of Kenya ever been wrong?
Yes, we've been wrong on many occasions.
No. Let me explain. When the people speak about political issues in one voice, not in the vote, usually it's in between. It's between 1988 elections and 1992. It's between 2002 and 1997. In fact, let me say this. When people demonstrate, have the Kenyan people been wrong for the purpose for which they demonstrate?
No, they haven't.
It's interesting. The Kenyan people, throughout their history, whenever they demonstrate for political rights, they have been right.
One, they have been patient.
Yes.
They have waited. They have spoken. They have tried to speak through the leaders they have elected. And when they get to a point where they feel that there is no progress being made, they have moved out themselves and said, look, this is what we think.
And therefore, today, as we sit here, this country is on the verge of being right. All it takes is for the people who move the wheels of government to listen to the people who are right. It's not rocket science.
It isn't. Looking at some of the comments that are coming in this morning, dear Mr. President, indeed you are learned, but wisdom comes from God. Be humble and seek God. Tuflani says, does anyone find it strange that we have to plead to have him do the right thing? Does it feel odd that we have to pretend that people are not being abducted and killed? What happened to righteous rebuke? My prince says, dear Mr. President, how do you feel leading a country where nearly half of the population cannot afford basic needs like food, clean water, health, and education? How do you feel, Mr. President? The only lacking thing was power. After gaining power, there was nothing after that. The PhD is even contested. Kenya isn't for trial and error projects or an ego boost. It's actually about development. Dear Mr. President, please release the audit books. Let us actually know what is going on. The old adage goes that you can't reinvent the wheel. If it isn't broken, don't fix it. Had wisdom in any of those sayings, many sectors had the resemblance of working, but nothing is working. Education sector is dying off. Dear Mr. President, your people are speaking. I think that even as we do look at a lot of the things that need to be sorted out, when we look at some of the things that actually have been sorted out, they pale in comparison to some of these matters, but necessary to look at either way. We see here folks talking about the fact that the electricity bills have gone down. We see that you're paying less for electricity, or rather what you're paying for now, you get more of it. Of course, we're going to go back to the unga, and then people have said, yes, the prices of unga have actually gone down, but that has been the case for a while now. That over and above, Kenyans are feeling that they should have a right to be able to speak to your administration and say, these are the things that we see that have an issue. These are the problems that we face. These are the things that we want you to get better. And I don't think we should actually get tired of saying it. Kenyans are willing. Basically, it's a verb now. Kenyans are willing you to do better. Kenyans want you to do better. Kenyans want it to be better for them. I actually don't see Kenyans have a problem with a leader in place who's actually doing the right thing over and over again and say, okay, well, this is working. Keep him there, keep her there, and let us continue in this. But unfortunately, there just seems to be too much going wrong in great numbers at the same time, and it seems to be a rolling cycle. And this is what Kenyans have a problem with. I looked at the face of the mother in Nakuru yesterday, who was looking for her son, Odhiambo. And the distraught look on the face of the wife when the court said, actually, you know what, these guys have nothing to answer. The evidence doesn't show us anything. And I looked at her face, and it reminded me of Billy Mwangi's father in court when he said, you know what, I can't find my son. The folks that you've put in the responsibility of security are telling us that they can't find him. But somebody has got to know where he is. If that's the case, what did he do? If he did something wrong, bring him before court and charge him. And then let us know what we're doing beyond that. And the abduction is going to be a sore point for lots of people, because it seems as though you're getting to the point where you can't say anything freely, because either, number one, you'll be castigated or you'll be disappeared. And getting into that place is actually quite dangerous. People want to be involved in their governance, but if that is what you tell them, or if that is what they're greeted with, what do you think the chances are that they will come back tomorrow and still be involved in the governance?
You know, there's something that happens in this country every Sunday. It's called praise and worship. Okay? When you go to church and you do praise and worship, there's no point where in your praise and worship you correct God. Right? I'm assuming you've gone to church.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. We are together.
All right.
All right. The difference between a church service and public service is, if you get praise and worship, you are definitely the devil in public service. If you get praise and worship in church, you're definitely God. Whenever you find someone, CT, has done his show, and everyone after the show is praising CT, let me tell you, soon CT will be Didi. Didi. D-I-D-D-Y.
Okay, that one.
Yes. Whenever people receive too much praise,
you're going to have to do an explainer.
Who's Didi? He's a Johnson & Johnson oil supplier.
Oh, wow. Otherwise known as a rap artist who's now sitting a scholarship in awaiting trial.
He has received a government scholarship?
Yes.
Has he?
Yes.
But he's not Kenyan.
And he sings?
Yes.
And raps, yes.
And raps.
Rap is singing?
He used to be known as Puff Daddy.
That guy?
Yes, that guy.
Oh, his other name is Didi?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Puff Daddy, I know that.
So, whenever you see people praise someone too much,
why did you just say it was Puff? I would have known.
Forgive me. I need to catch my breath. So, saying that part of the reason why bad things happen is when you collect a choir around yourself, you miss the point. When you hear people give you feedback and push you forward, you not only become better, but you also lead better. And there's something that needs to be deconstructed in this country. That just because someone says, Mark, your voice is too this, then they are my enemy. No, this is my first week. Please tell me how to be better. Please tell me how to be better. Because guess what? I've been handsome for over 40 years.
God bless you.
I
don't know how to do it
I've
better.
been kind for 40 years. Tell me what to do better, man.
But I get your point.
Yes.
And your example was,
Don't doubt my example. My example is
It's
excellent.
smoldering example. So this is what I'm saying.
Yes.
That you can be prescriptive. You can tell me what is wrong, but also we can also tell you what you can do to do better.
Yes.
And this is the thing that we're talking about. That, it's very simple if you ask me. That if you have children who are in school, and constitutionally you're supposed to send them to school. And sending them to school means what? At a subsidized rate. So what do? You take money and you put it in treasury. Okay, you take money from treasury and you put it in the ministry, and the ministry now doles it out to schools. That's what it means. That's essentially what it means that we're saying send children to school. Now, beyond that, you realize the importance of doing so, and so you create a budget, which started in September. The process started. And then you will come and you will hold the briefcase on the steps of, is it Harambee House now or Parliament, or wherever it is they hold the briefcase. And then you will come and tell us how you're going to spend money in the next 1 year. And then after that, you will tell us where you're going to get the money from. That means you have a what? You have a plan. So it riddles me completely when you come to the beginning of the year in January and people are still picking their noses and wondering, okay, what's going to happen and how are these children going to go to school? So when we say that's not being done, it is not criticism. It is fact that children have not gone to school with the capitation that we say they are supposed to go to school with. Meanwhile, you budgeted for it. So when we say that there's a problem here, it is not being facetious. It is not being critical. It is fact. Capitation has not gone to school and you budgeted for the money. Get the money, put it in school so that children can do what? They can go to school. For me, it's very simple, right? If somebody ate the money, somebody stole the money, get it back, put it back, let children go to school. Number two, if we are saying that you made noise, there was a whole consortium that sat. There was a health stakeholders workshop when you were delivering the plan. And you said that this is what we are going to do. Taifa Care is going to do 1, 2, 3. You said that. You told Kenyans, your CS, the current one, told Kenyans that no problem. Once you have paid, you will go to hospital. You will not remove another dime. You will see a doctor. If you need to be treated, you will be treated. You will get up from your bed. Doctor says, go home. You will go home without removing another cent. True, false?
True.
This is what you said. It is not criticism. It is not being critical. It is not saying that anybody must go anywhere. It is what you said you were going to do. So what are we saying? Let the thing work. This is it, Mr. President. That do you need to whip your people up to get them to do it? Then do it. Do you need to make sure that the folks that you've put, the 22 plus people that you've put in cabinet, that they're actually doing their job? If that's what needs to happen, then that's what needs to happen. This is not about emotions or being romantic or saying, please love me. It has nothing to do with that. It is mere fact that capitation has not been sent, that people are going to hospital today, they are not being paid for after they've paid a premium, or that they can't get the full payment. It is the truth. That people said that they have to pay multiple licenses in order to do business. Meanwhile, the singular job of government is to make the environment conducive for things to happen. It is not happening. It is not about emotions or crying or making me feel bad. It is the truth that certain things are not happening in the manner in which they ought to happen. Dear Mr. President, make it happen. That's what Kenyans are saying. Make it happen. Then we can deal with those emotional things later and somebody can buy you flowers. But for now, make it happen, dear Mr. President. It's 2017, 9 to 10.
Dental tips brought to you by Sensodyne. The gentle touch. Did you know brushing too hard can damage your enamel and cause tooth sensitivity? Use a soft bristle toothbrush and Sensodyne toothpaste for daily repair and long-lasting protection.
Sensodyne gives you long-lasting protections against sensitivity. I recommend Sensodyne because it works. It's brilliant.
In Makueni alone, we have 269.
We all know why we are here. What is the mission? Attack!
This week on Wake Up and Makeup, we are in the coastal region. Did you know that Charlie Island holds a beauty secret?
Inafanya ngozi inang'ara vizuri. Hata ukitoka hapo ukifika kwa barabarani mtu kama amekuona baada ya 10 anaona kama
ataona kweli si wewe. Ladies, what do you do when you want to take a break from mascara? In my adventures in Mombasa, I discovered an aesthetic medical clinic that helps you shed off a few pounds. My jet ski experience was just the cherry on top. Make sure you don't miss this episode of Wake Up and Makeup with me, Christine Korea. Ladies, we're going to come back and set the face. There you go.
Chapana Daka family. Daka laki yako na 20 bob peke. Changamka. Win cash every 20 minutes. Multiply peke yako times 5,000. Kila draw. Shinda bonus prize chungu nzima ndani ya Daka. It's easy. Cheza Daka babili. Na 20 bob to 2,000. Pay bill 440440. Account KTN. Win cash direct to your phone every 20 minutes. Cheza Daka.
While Mombasa at 30 is sunny with highs of 32, and we'll see highs of 31 in Malindi, 25 and sunny in Kisumu with highs of 31. When at 25, Kakamega is sunny, we'll go to highs of 32. Kampala at 24 is sunny with highs of 28, and Dar es Salaam at 28 is mostly cloudy with highs of 32. Johannesburg at 20 is sunny with highs of 25, while Mogadishu at 29 is sunny with highs of 31. 19 and sunny in Addis Ababa with highs of 25, while it's a hazy morning in Lagos. At 28, we'll see highs of 33. Kinshasa at 24 is cloudy with highs of 31. -5 in a sunny, windy Beijing going into Friday evening. And it's 3 degrees and cloudy in Paris, 4 and cloudy in London. And New York is 3 and mostly cloudy. Haven't done too badly with traffic this morning. Just a little bit of that left on the Thika Superhighway today as you're getting towards the fork in the road between Wangari Maathai Way and then Murang'a Road. You'll get to some traffic on Kibande Road as you're trying to get into the city this morning, and then out towards Kirinyaga Road. There's some movement there, but then there's a bit of a hold up as well. So like I said, Friday into the weekend usually doesn't bear much in terms of traffic, so yay for that. Kangunda Road, as usual, some traffic as you're trying to get towards the junction on Outer Ring, and that'll go in and outbound on Outer Ring. Quick look at the Eastern Bypass, and that traffic seems to have subsided. And there's some traffic on North Airport Road as you're coming inbound towards Outer Ring. So apart from that, I think we've done pretty well through the day. Talk to us, Spice FM, KE on X. Dear Mr. President, and it is 20 minutes to 10 o'clock, still taking your calls, and we'll start taking your calls now as you speak to us. Not to forget, that number is 0719-012-600, and also looking at some of the comments that you leave for us on socials today. We'll look at some of those in just a bit. Just reminding you that number is 0719-012-600. Our live streams are on YouTube, Facebook, and on X, and also our audience on KTN. Okay, so just taking some of those comments that you sent in this morning. Yes, dear Mr. President, we listened to you. Isn't it time that you actually listen to us? It was once claimed that he was the one governing while his boss was doing other things. Today, he claims to have inherited a ruined economy from his boss. Does it mean he has inherited this mess from himself? That's a question coming in from Luke. It's painful. The sooner you realize that, come to terms that in 2022 you voted for Kumi Bila breaks, the better for you. I know it's a hard pill to swallow, but that's just the way it is. That's why some of us were very vocal. How do you get leaders who don't need to plead, but who bear the power and the Constitution gives Kenyans and are more compelled to do what is right? How do you do that? Well, many more questions, and we'll start taking your calls in this morning. Good morning. Tell us where you're calling from and what your name is. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, how are you?
How do you do? Well, my name is David.
Yes, David.
I'm calling you from Nairobi, and just speak on this matter. I've been listening to you, and you brought it quite well. And everybody at Spice is really doing the Lord's work, because you've just spoken what millions of Kenyans are thinking. And just to order to what you're saying, for Verto President Ruto. I don't think he's by any means presidential at all, because he equates criticism to stupidity and thinks nobody can disagree with him. For him, it's always about excuses. And one thing that he tries to portray himself as is Lee Kuan Yew from Singapore. But the biggest issue that I have with him is he forgets that of all the greatest things that man did, what he is really remembered for is fighting corruption. If corruption is to be eliminated in this country, a lot of things can happen, but not on Ruto's government. Right now, he does not deal with facts or logic or even accountability. He just wants to waive his certificate, his PhD, which I think for this moment, it probably could mean plunder, hubris, and even death. There is nothing more disturbing than having a man wield such bad characters and have so much power over our country for things that he is doing at the moment, even sacrificing national security just for political expediency is something that is so despicable.
Oh, I think we lost David there. If you can, call back in and we'll try to get you back on the line. But I mean, you were getting onto a point there. And we'll keep taking those calls that are coming in on 0719012600, as well as continue to take into consideration your comments on socials. It's Dear Mr. President, an opportunity for you to, air what it is that you think. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, tell us your name and where you're calling from this morning.
My name is Joe, calling from...
Yes, Joe. What are your thoughts this morning?
Now, we have a situation where the country actually has lost track. It is easy to destroy systems. It is easy to bring down the economy. But reconstructing those systems is a difficult part. There are some people that our parliament, which is supposed to be the one checking the authority and also systems, and they seem to be aloof with what's going on. They seem actually not to care too. They don't care for the principal person, the person who took him there. And the other day, I saw them in unison saying, Chai is not working. Why can't they make those pronouncements actually in Parliament and censor the minister concerned, and they seem to be taking action rather than doing side shows? Tomorrow, we might not even have this space to talk about what you're talking about today, because the system is encroaching on the liberty of the people. The system is decapitating all the gains which are being done over time. If we cannot hold parliamentarians or people who can call the president to order or the advisor of the president to order, we might go Congo way. Certain President Mobutu Sese Seko one time was there. He became so rich and the country actually continued being poor. What was happening in Congo, we can trace all the way back to that time. Tribalism, whatever, everything went there. There's no space. We might not even have this Kenya you're talking about, actually, this, at the rate at which we are losing ground. I think to recover might take 30 years.
Well, I hear you on that.
My position is it's about pyramids areas that should be called to order.
Thanks for your thoughts on that, Joe. An interesting perspective. Thanks for calling in this morning. We'll take up some more calls this morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Sorry, my call dropped off.
Thank you for calling back, David. So just let us know what the last end of your thoughts were.
Yeah, what I was coming to was that situation that is happening in the northeastern provinces, the border counties. And you wonder, as you said before, it's the first time that the president has gone there and spent about 4 days. And you can tell from whatever he is speaking, and even in the tone that he's speaking, the broadside promises that he's giving, all these good things that he's he's known to say, is just a campaign strategy. And yet the same man goes ahead and lectures Kenya on how it is not campaign season, let development first take the forefront, in the same breath abuses a lot of us and demeans other leaders based on their intellectual capacity. But then you ask yourself, what is it that this man is known for? And one thing that I want to tell Kenyans, even as we head to maybe another election cycle, even after this one, never forget a man's character. We have seen that this man has no track record in fighting for freedoms. At every point in history where this country has been involved in a struggle to advance our freedoms, he has never been at that point since 1992 when he was all involved in the other camp. He was on opposed of the Constitution. And how is it that we expect this man to advance the ideals of the Constitution that guide us? You are speaking, right now, speaking against the government is just playing Russian roulette because you don't know where you'll end up tomorrow. You're seeing all these interviews of people who are giving statements of what has happened to them just by speaking against the government. So the biggest problem that that the government sees is people criticizing the government itself, other than them not doing what is right for the people as per what they promised in their manifesto.
I'll hear you on that.
If I got to score this president, I would give him a meager 2 out of 10. And that is just because I am still alive.
Thanks for your thoughts on that, David. Definitely, it makes part of the conversation. Thanks for calling in this morning. We'll take other calls this morning. Hello, good morning. Hello. Hello, good morning. All right.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling from this morning.
My name is Masharia. I'm calling from Nairobi.
Yes, Masharia.
And let me talk to my president directly. Mr. President, it's just a simple task. Mr. President, as long as we recognize that you are a good president and all that you're saying is true, you ran it and all that, and that's why we've been trusted a lot on you as our president. Mr. President, with all the PhD you hold and all that we have entrusted you and what you're saying in the public podium, we know that with that, your leadership holds power to restore and inspire confidence in the government, listening to people, engage them meaningfully and address their concerns. Mr. President, Kenya's future depends on the leadership you provide for the next 5 or whichever years you're going to lead this country. Prioritize the people of Kenya. And I trust that if you consider listening to people and just addressing the main issues that are concerning us and hitting us hard, the cost of living, unemployment, economic hardships, and taking just some time to consider the ordinary Kenyans and the young people, the suffering they are talking about, the abductions and all that. Please consider your people, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your thoughts, Masharia. Definitely speaking directly to that. We'll take more calls this morning. 0719-012-600. Hello, good morning. Hello. Still taking your calls this morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Hi, tell us your name and where you're calling from. And if you don't mind, turn down the volume on your TV or radio.
Hello, you're speaking to Roy?
Yes, Roy.
I'm calling from Eldoret.
Roy, would you turn down the volume on your radio, please?
Okay, just a second. Okay, someone once said, if you want to know the real character of a man, give him power and money. So all through this has been displayed and it has come true. So speaking about corruption, let's be honest with every Kenyan. Like, we want to stop corruption. It begins with me and you. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
So, if you're in a specific state like your court is done wrong, but you're given the chance, choose you to go to court or for you to follow the right procedure. Most of us Kenyans will say no. Why don't I see you sideways and give you something small so that this thing is settled? That is corruption. When you want to send your kid to do something and you like give this kid a tip for them to do this thing that you're asking them to do, this is corruption. It's a culture that we have trained it from the modern up down. Now it's up here. So there's so much blame. Oh, the president is corrupt and there's so much corruption. There's this and this and this going on. We are forgetting this thing is between me and you. We have to solve this thing from the grassroots and deal with it so that when we elect a president and we expect the president to follow a culture, there's a culture that we already set it there.
Okay, so Roy, what I hear you saying essentially is that it's not just on the president, but it's on every single Kenyan to make sure that, get our ducks in a row.
Correct. That is my point.
Thank you very much. Go ahead. Okay, so Roy's dropped off. Let's take some more calls this morning. Hello, good morning. Hello. All right, still taking your calls. Good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Good morning. I'm calling from Bomet. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. We can hear you.
Yes, I'm calling from Bomet.
Yes.
I'm Bernard.
Yes, Bernard.
Yes, I want to address this issue of corruption. And I don't know what is the concept of corruption. When it comes to maybe calling people to ACC, why don't we make somebody prior to the call so that somebody can respond? Hello?
Yes, Bernard, we can hear you.
Yes. Can the president address this issue strictly on corruption? What do we divide corruption, in other words? Is corruption being addressed in such a way that you ambush somebody to come address the issue? Or you are supposed to call somebody who has done wrong or corrupt in a swift manner? Are you hearing me?
So we can hear you, Bernard. So are you essentially saying that one of the things that the president must do is actually deal with the issue of corruption?
Yes.
All right. Getting your thoughts this morning. Thanks so much for calling in, Bernard. Let's hear from some other folks this morning. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Good morning to you.
Hello, good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Ezekiel.
Yes,
I'm calling from Nairobi.
Okay, Ezekiel.
I want to speak to the president.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to tell the president that if he wants the people to be satisfied, let him focus on the service delivery. If it is about SHA, let the SHA provide services to the people and not go answering to the people. Let him deliver the services to the people, and the people will, for themselves, will see that the services are being delivered and they will be satisfied, Mr. President.
We hear you on that.
If it is about education, let it deliver it on the education. And the services that will be offered in education, people will see the services and they will feel the services, Mr. President. Don't just go answering to the people. Deliver the services to the people. and the people will see for themselves.
Yeah, people will see for themselves. So do more, say less, essentially. Thank you very much for that call, Ezekiel. Thanks for sharing your comments with us this morning. All right. So, I mean, this is where we are, folks, isn't it? That folks have a lot to say. But one thing that is, do more and speak less. Just a few more of those comments on socials this morning, that we hope that the president will listen. Kenya is ranked top 5 most expensive power tariffs in Africa. We have geothermal. We have a serious problem. How do we industrialize without fair power prices? That's one that's going to address that issue. There are many factors taken into consideration. My take, we can see that you've come through some trauma dealing with some of the issues that we discussed this morning. And, that brings us to, roundabout the time where we say, okay, well, thanks for being part of Kenya's biggest conversation this week. And even as we do talk about some things that need to be delivered, there is a platform where, 1 million people get into the market, but they're being helped every month.
I hope you noticed that I'm in a suit today.
I did notice.
Yes, that's because I'm going for a board meeting.
And you have been handsome for 40 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, why do I start there? I remember when I was a youth, 18 out of school, wondering how I would ever get to such a position. Back then, there was no KCB to Jiajiri. I wish there was.
Yeah.
Because they give you the training you need from whether you've got a high school degree, a class 8 dropout. They give you the education you need to start your career. And not only education, they then give you an opportunity to be incubated like an egg. The KCB is the mother hen. You hatch as a complete biashara, right? And then they give you a vaccine. Abi?
Yes.
Good. They give you a vaccine to make sure you've got the capital, you've got the branding, you've got the marketing, you've got the accounting right. Now, what else would you need to do other than go to...